I'll try and get through this as best I can. I've had a bit of time to prepare for it, in fact, over a month really. And if you don't want to watch this video tribute of mine, just feel free to watch something else I have. But this is my way, or one of my ways in coping with these things, and it's what I do. Forgive my wheezing as well. And the fact that even though it's raining today, people are still chainsawing and doing whatever. My very good friend Lena Sandstrom passed away early this morning. I've known it's been coming for a long time. I met Lena about 3 years ago on a Lionsgate film. It was called In Like Flynn. It did the world cinemas. We spent a couple of very long, exhausting days on set together. And after that we just remained in contact, and basically we were in contact every day on email and became very good friends. In that time it's been my pleasure to have Lena as a co-star in the short comedy I made called Small Apartments. Thanks for coming.
That's all right.
Sorry, looks like the bulb's blown. Well, what do you think?
It's pretty tiny.
I guess they have small ones in Sweden too.
True. But most apartments are not this small.
Bit of background info on that. She actually recorded that in her cupboard, and I did in mine on our phones because I wanted it to be a consistent sound. But also, more recently, at the end of last year, I did the Bribie Island vlog. I don't know how I can stretch my arm. Oh, I don't think I can do this. Well, I'm here visiting my friend Lena, who you may have seen in my film that I wrote earlier this year called Small Apartments. Do you recall that?
Except we can't be seen in that one, only heard.
Yes, we were just heard in that one. Check it out in the links anyway. Rather embarrassingly, when I did the Bribie vlog, I was battling a bad case of rosacea, which eventually I got rid of through one of my normal methods. But we soldier on, don't we? Lena and I stayed in contact all the time, except for days at a time when she'd have a bad migraine. Anyway, so once I met her and she told me her history of breast cancer. I'll spare a lot of information and details in respect for her privacy and dignity. But basically back then, before I met her, she had the required operation, and essentially over the years, recent years, went up and down as far as trying everything that was humanly possible. Of course, the first thing was chemotherapy, which the first round, I believe, she got the all clear for, and then it came back later. And then it wasn't as effective. She tried immunotherapy. But the one thing she always did do was try alternative methods as well. Anything that you know of, well, she tried. You know, the no salt, no sugar, rah-de-rah-de-rah, pure foods, everything. And maybe in essence that bought her time. Anyway, it was under control again, or disappeared, and towards the end of last year she found a lump again, and pursuing that, the oncologist said, well, there's nothing that can be done, and it was stage 4. So of course I knew about that for a long time. I knew about that before I visited her again and did that recording at Bribie Island. She'd already had a rough year because she broke her knee and couldn't walk for a few months, and then was in a moon boot for ages. She went to palliative care about 3 weeks ago, and it was very sudden. I went and visited her thinking she may not make the day, or if not, it would be next day, but she lasted all this time, and I'll spare some of the details of the conversation we had there. But basically, she was lucid. She was drifting in and out because she was on painkillers through a pump that was going in her arm. And she'd already been refusing food before she went there. And I didn't realise that in palliative care they don't actually do the typical hospital type things where they administer anything other than painkillers. So she wasn't on any IV fluid drips or anything, just painkillers. She did tell me she wasn't in any pain or discomfort. And from information I've gleaned through various means since then, I believe that was the case right up till the end, including the end. And they say she passed away in her sleep around about 3:20 a.m. Queensland time this morning. When I was in there visiting her for about an hour, I was holding her hand at different times and lightly stroking her forehead as we spoke, and just touching the ends of her hair. And when I got there, they offered her food again. She declined, and I tried, of course, to persuade her, you need to eat, Lena, because she knew all about nutrition. And I had to do a double take on a few things she said, because I thought, did I hear that right? One of the things she said was it would only feed the cancer. Well, I know normally she would know that, well, your body needs nutrition, etc., to fight things like that, but I informed a few people that knew her initially through her Facebook page, because I tried everything to contact her and she just vanished for a while, a couple of weeks. And anyway, so somebody contacted me, and anyway, I ended up updating her Facebook page and found that even though, as far as I know, I was her closest friend in Australia, there was a handful of people I've been messaging, because then I was told by her sister, please don't update things on her Facebook, because as far as I knew, what the hospital told me, the social worker, was that after I visited her, she had one more visitor later that evening, and then she said she didn't want any more visitors or phone calls from anyone. She said to in front of the social worker that she gave consent for me to be informed, but the social worker said it had to be done in front of a doctor, who first had to deem her competency to make that decision. So anyway, it is what it is. And so I knew before I made that last video in November that it was stage 4. And as I said to her, as I sat with her, you and I both thought, Lena, that it would be a slow decline in health, not a sudden one. And she said yes. So, yeah, basically she refused food, and she was having sips of water. But as of today, let me rack my brain, I think it would have been day 26 without food, and day 15 without water, which certainly destroyed what I thought I knew about how long people could last. But it depends very much on people. Also, even though, frankly, from what I was able to ascertain, it's been at least a week, if not longer, that I don't know if she was ever actually comatose, but she was basically more or less unconscious all the time for the last week. Just the odd moan and groan, quote unquote, somebody. Yeah, but a good friend of mine in the UK who's a veteran nurse confirmed what I started to think. Well, maybe the liquid painkiller was formulated on a saline solution, you know, with salt water. So yeah, apparently that must have been what it is. And some people, if they're in a dormant position, can survive quite a while still without sipping water. And that was the case, clearly. Yeah. So this has been playing on my mind for quite a long time. Obviously, I haven't let on what was going on. It wasn't my place to do so, and also respecting her privacy. But I haven't had much sleep. I've been very worried about it, even though I knew there was nothing one can do. And yeah, well, today was finally the day, and it's miraculous she survived so long. But I'll put a link at the end of this video to that Bribie Island one I did with her, and also the little comedy. Make whatever you want of this, but this morning I absolutely could not start up my computer for a couple of minutes, and it's never happened before. I guess the takeaway thing, I probably want to leave. The other thing I was going to say is she's been in Australia from Sweden for quite a number of years, but only just before Christmas she finally got her citizenship for Australia. And to get that, although I wouldn't have expected this would be the case, she asked me if I'd be a character reference or character referee for her, and naturally it was my pleasure and honour. So I wrote that letter, and just to hopefully add a bit of clout to push it through, I signed it with my official. I've been a Justice of the Peace Commissioner for Declaration for nearly 40 years. Anyway, she had to drive to Canberra, which is quite a long way from here. We're talking like a 3-day turnaround with like one or two nights stop along the way. So she did that because she was going to Sweden to say goodbye to her family for one last time for Christmas. So the video I recorded with her was just days before she flew there. And of course she came back. It was hot here, and she was expected over for another visit and a swim in the pool. But of course then the whole global thing happened, and everyone was in lockdown and couldn't do it. And of course now it's been cold for quite a while. So the takedown I was going to say is, in my opinion, it takes a lot more effort to hold grudges and anger with people, negativity, than it does just to not be angry with anyone, not for a long time, whether it's family, friends or anyone. Life is so short, we know that, and it can just, on a dime, or on a cent, just go when you least expect it. So it's not a long life we have really in the grand scheme of things. And yeah, that's all. I'll certainly miss our daily emails and everything, the visits and whatever. So, okay, thanks for watching, and peace be with you all. And Lena, I guess, goodbye until we meet again.